This is Janjo, and I'm building a deck, yeah! This is the greatest Exodia deck of all time, and it's from the OCG, so let's talk about it. Exodia in the OCG was absolutely busted. I've talked about the OCG in varying lengths. I've done a history video. I even done a previous deck based off the very first volume 1 of Yugioh. But I've always want to talk about Exodia because Exodia is a unique deck of its time, as many OCG decks are decks that seem familiar but a little bit different. But Exodia is that really weird one, especially when considering at the tail end of the OCG Series 1, that being Volume 7. This is the build this is going to be based off of. Tail end, you got Volume 1, you got Volume 7. Wow. And there's a ton of great cards released throughout then. But this is still before there's any sort of limited list. So Exodia had free range. Now, it was very hard to play Exodia back in the day because it was very hard to get all of the cards, let alone a full set of multiple pieces and whatnot. So physically it wasn't very viable. Exodia was slowly being built up, but it was still a contender for a great deck, so you choose to have the cards to play it with. But of course, with the luxury of modern day, we can just see what it looks like. With the older Yu-Gi-Oh, it's much more of a slower game. I think a lot of people kind of realize that, but with this version of Exodia is actually a bit more faster and equally kind of aggro and defensive. Is there defensive aggro daggro? I don't know. With Exodia, you actually want to play 2 pieces of each because there's so many ways to search it out. And that's what makes Exodia in the OCG so scary and so powerful, was that you have all these power cards just waiting to be used that were available. Yeah, Graceful Charity, Pot of Greed, both at 3. That's insane. That's already, 2, 4, 6. That's cutting 6 cards out of your deck, basically. Consider Graceful Charity, and then you can use Thunder Dragon on top of that. You already have discard fodder cards. And I believe this is still with the original OCG versions of Sangan and Witch of the Black Forest, which I have talked about semi-recently, depending on when this is uploaded, where Witch of the Black Forest and Sangan, at this point in time, their effects could be activated from the hand. It wasn't stated in their effect that they had to be sent from the field to the graveyard. It was just when they're sent to the graveyard, meaning there's great ways to search them out. So not only you could use Graceful Charity with Witch or Sangan, but you could also use a card like Last Will. You could use a card like Cannon Soldier. You could use a card like Crush Card Virus, which I'm throwing 1 in here. Just I need room for 1 more card. You could put more defensive cards you've wanted. You could add like a Wabaku or I don't know, whatever tickles your fancy, Mirror Force if you wanted to. But Crush Card is great for that because you can use it with, at the very least, Sangan. Or if you wanted to, the Exodia pieces, you just kind of stun your opponent. And again, if you use it with Sangan, you can use it to get a search off, which is fine by me. Morphine Jar, only running 2, so you can replenish your hand if you need to. You can just get through a lot of cards. And yeah, Cannon Soldier, getting rid of Witch or Sangan with that Last Will. And Last Will you can use, I believe by this point you can use it before or after, but it doesn't really matter. But with Cannon Soldier, you still need to get your monsters on the field, but Monster Born is a great way to do that if you can dump cards with Graceful Charity. You can dump Witch, Sangan, Thunder Dragon, Monster Born them back, and then you got a Cannon Soldier. Use Cannon Soldier and Sangan. Use Last Will, get rid of 1 Sangan, you get 2 searches. Monster Reborn, Cannon Soldier, another search. And this is saying that if you don't have more Last Wills or more Monster Reborns, I think you can already see how scary this deck is. Even if you're on the defensive, you can play cards like Witch or Sangan just face down. You can play a card like Morphing Jar face down. You're gonna get cards to search regardless. And on top of that, if they have anything that could possibly be a threat to you, you have Solemn Judgment. So if they have card destruction, which my mind's kind of foggy which cards are in Series 1, but like let's say if they had card destruction or something, along the lines of like a hand discarding kind of thing. You got Solemn Judgment to take care of any problematic thing, because this is really like Exodia Turbo in a lot of ways, and it's a very scary, especially if you're playing 2 pieces, because that means you're not locked down to accidentally having to get rid of 1 piece. You have that leeway to do so. And again, if you have extra stuff, you can use them with Cannon Soldier. You can just happily get rid of them to replenish your hand with a Morphing Jar. You can use them with Crush Card Virus. You can just discard them with Graceful Charity if you don't have anything else. There's so much you can do with this, and it makes it just such a scary thing. I'd love to play some of the Series 1 in real life if I ever get the chance to do so. It's just really fascinating to see the OCG just like entirely from Series 1, from Volume 1, the simplicity and primal origins of that, to Volume 7, just like the craziness of pre-errata history Yu-Gi-Oh! That's pretty nuts. That's straight up almond, and I was really excited and really wanted to get to this Exodia variation deck at some point. I'm glad I finally got to it, the greatest Exodia deck ever, and I think that's not really being hyperbolic about it. When you look at other Exodia decks, sure, there have been good builds of it in varying formats throughout the history of Yu-Gi-Oh!, but not quite to this power where everything synergizes and searches so well together. I mean, I don't know if this would be viable with like modern day Yu-Gi-Oh!, just how quickly like 1-turn KOs work and Droll and Lockbird and stuff like that, but honestly, for most formats, I think this is a very fearsome deck, because you can get that ball rolling and you can swap out a couple cards with some other things. That's going to be pretty scary, just, you know, swapping out this like Morphing Jar or Crush Card, you know, a couple things here and there for just more just crazy searches. But just like the way it is right now is just crazy to think about, just to look at. And a lot of people look at this deck and go, oh, well, I mean, a Sandgain, you gotta summon it and, you know, whatever. But again, you gotta keep in mind, this is the OCG version of it. The effects are a bit different from what you may realize at first, and hopefully through this video I've explained it in great detail about it. Is this a deck you would want to go up against? I don't think so. I certainly would not. But will we see more OCG Series 1 decks? I don't know, maybe. I might do like one or two more. I might do a couple more that I have in mind, but you know, we'll see as I get to them. I don't really have these decks super planned out, but I just do what I think you all would enjoy, and also what I would enjoy too. So yeah, let me know what you think about this video. Is this deck look scary to you, or what? Let me know what other decks or formats you'd like to see in the future. And of course, until I see you all next time, have a wonderful day.
My grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards, Kaiba.